front of us. I think I sent around the minutes. Hopefully you took a look at those, and if somebody would make a motion so we can approve those.
Sure. So moved.
Anybody have a second?
I'll accept the motion.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. I wanted to start out with a listening session just to kind of have a discussion about that and what you guys think next steps are. I think you saw the follow-up letter that I sent you all, and I had a summary to the extent I could do it of what I thought we heard during the listening session. One of the things that struck me, and I don't know if you guys had the same reaction, was that there were some good ideas, but I don't really know yet how to operationalize a lot of them. Like mental health resources, that makes sense, but how do we operationalize that? Or the concierge idea, again, I like that, but how do we do that? So I reached out, and what I was thinking about doing, Nancy, since you said you could take on some more things, is maybe kind of put that in your lap, or Derek, if you guys want to share that, that would be fine. I think what we ought to do, and you guys tell me, is to go back to the folks who spoke and say, this is what we thought we heard in your discussion, but we're not sure how to operationalize this and make it a proposal or project if we decide as a group that we can do it. What would your ideas be? Now, I know in particular that Charlotte would have ideas because she's pretty knowledgeable about the stuff she spoke about. The transportation stuff, honestly, I know quite a bit about that because I've been involved in Ride-On, so I might be able to help with that. But anyway, if you guys wouldn't mind taking that on, we had some comments from Bob Sissel. Again, good ideas, but I don't know if there's anything specifically we can do to operationalize that. And the same thing with, to some extent, I think the Chamber of Commerce is a little different because I think what he was really suggesting is that we need to have some more economic data about the Western County economy, which we already are sort of working on anyway. But certainly reach out to him too. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't know if you know Ann Connor or not, but I've got emails from all of those folks, and you probably know her, but if you don't, I can give you emails for all of them to reach out to them and talk to them.
I have pretty good notes from last time as well, and that have some moves towards and ideas towards operationalizing.
That'd be good.
So I can also go ahead and maybe highlight a few things from, or at least one from each person. And then we can go from there, see if that's something that we need to pursue with other folks.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do you want to just plan a time, maybe the two of us can sit down and?
Sure. Absolutely, yeah, because that's really helpful to me.
Fine.
And I can.
We got time because if we do decide to take any of these on, we wouldn't do anything with it probably till we send a budget letter, which is usually in August, but sometimes in September. So we could put it in there if we decided we knew what we wanted to support. I also need to let the commissioners know if we decide here's 3 new ideas we're taking on. So.
Yeah, well, I think if we talk over from the listening session, I have notes, we can come up with some different things that take a little step beyond just transportation or mental health services.
More specific proposal.
Okay.
And then just that'll be a step forward, and we can then maybe go back by the individual people, come to the committee, run it by you, and see if there really is any of those ideas are headed in the right direction at all.
Okay. I can also send you, Derek, if you haven't seen it, we sent in 2 sets of comments on the Ride-On Reimagined. They're not really on the topic that Ann, she was mostly talking about seniors.
Yeah.
We were mostly talking about trying to get people to doctors and things like that, but it still may be useful background.
Yeah, because there's also some other ideas that are not, I would say, fair access ideas, but are community building ideas too. So I'm not sure how Niles or others want to hear that, because I mean, when people are sharing, they're sharing lots more than just what we would advocate, for. So.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good. If you could take that on, that would be great.
If you want to just share anything that's town related or anything like that came out through it too, just share it with me, and then we can see how to address it too.
Yeah, might actually go to another committee or something potentially.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. It could go to parks, it could go to planning, depending on what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I think there was talk of the arts last time, and we're working on an arts district.
Yeah.
In the planning commission, so that sort of folds into that. So
Yeah, it does. Okay. Ed, do you have any further thoughts?
I think if I make sure I didn't miss it, I like what Charlotte was presenting, voucher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I could go back, but did she send her copy of her statement?
Yeah, I thought I sent it to you, but I sent it again if you didn't see it. Uh-huh.
I'll double check. I've been flooded with email last few weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've been nose deep when the county made that decision
Yeah.
to reduce staffing, even though the PR says that no one got laid off, but a lot of people did get transfers.
Yeah.
And so I've been nose deep for the last 2-3 weeks dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay.
But like I said, I know I really enjoyed the remarks that she has, and then I just echo what's already been said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll send that
Okay.
back out to all of you if you didn't get Charlotte's comments. And she actually had a written set of comments. Nobody else did, but. Okay, thanks. Appreciate that. Wanted to next talk a little bit about White's Ferry. Not that I have a lot to announce in terms of anything happening, but I think I mentioned back, maybe it was our March meeting, that part of what we've done with White's Ferry, aside from continuing to keep pressure on the DOT and council members to keep focused on this, is to try to do a lot of media activity. So we've gotten 14 media events of various kinds, which when you think about it, for a small town like ours, is pretty amazing. But we're sort of running out of ideas because you can't just keep saying, it's not running, what are we going to do? So one of the ideas that we've started thinking about was to do some kind of event around the history of ferries along the Montgomery County segment of the river and the C&O Canal. And it wouldn't be exactly on White's Ferry, but obviously one of the most important ferries along that segment was White's Ferry. So I took that idea and I went to HMD and to Knight and to Ralph Buglas. I don't know if you know Ralph, but he's a local historian, very sharp. Done a lot of interesting research on these issues. William Bauman, another guy who just has reams of data on how the C&O Canal operated. John Wolz, another local historian. Jim Poole, and we just started doing a collaborative research project on this. And Ralph kind of took the lead, but we were just throwing him in data and pictures. And I have to share some of these pictures with you. I got a whole file now of pictures of White's Ferry, which I'd never seen some of the, I don't think anybody has. Jim Poole had them in these scrapbooks. And it shows cars going across the ferry all the way back to the 1920s, which is really cool because one of them just has like a wooden boat and one car on it. But the presentation I shared with you, that's where we are at this point. I think it does a great job of just kind of overviewing what those ferries did, how they contributed to our economy and the local culture and so forth. And we're trying to, we've got to tentatively schedule an event to roll this out on July 17th at the Methodist Church. And HMD is co-sponsoring, and so is Montgomery History, which is headed by Matt Logan, very sharp guy too. So the idea would be for Ralph to do a 30-minute presentation, which you saw the slides and kind of the script as well, and then have a panel of people reacting to what he said and allow questions too from the audience. So it'll be from 6:30 to 8 on the 17th. So one of the things that I don't know if I mentioned this to you when I don't think I did, but in the research, as we were doing the research on the amount of ferry traffic, C&O Canal traffic that came from the ferries. So in other words, the ferry came over, unloaded grain or whatever its products were, then on the C&O Canal down to be processed in either DC or up to Cumberland. Then they sent back stuff like processed goods, like plaster, building materials and stuff. One of the things we started noticing, I didn't notice it, Ralph did first, was that as the traffic increased on the C&O Canal and more stuff was shipped back and forth, especially agricultural products, that the number of slaves, because I don't know how he thought of this, but he said, they're going to have to grow more. And in those days, there were plantations, a lot of them in this area. And he thinks there's a connection between the growth of slavery in this area and the C&O Canal and its growth in commerce, which makes perfect sense. He'll talk about that a little bit, which I think is another good hook into the history of this area. And Chuck Copeland, unfortunately, can't be in the panel, but he's done a heck of a lot of research in his family, and they were enslaved not too far from where he lives right now. So anyway, I think some of this will be really interesting dialogue. And anyway, that's where we are at this point in that project. And obviously, we're hoping to get Fran Murphy there and some media to cover it and hopefully White's Ferry will be a center focus of some of the questioning and so forth.
So, who's Fran Murray?
Who's what?
Fran Murray, you mentioned?
Fran from Murphy is with My MC Media. She's one of the media
okay.
people. I'm hoping I can get her there. I think I can get Moco 360, their reporter, there too. So we'll have some media coverage, hopefully. So that's where that is at this point. But I thought the slide presentation was excellent. Ralph's really good. So anyway, Laura, I think you saw it too. I think you were shared a copy of it too. I think you saw the slides, I think, right? Yeah, okay.
So, Link, just so I can know, how much are we pushing White's Ferry right now as an issue? Because I know it was very pushed and then it was backed off from. What is, because when I talk with people, run into people, are we mentioning it? Are we pushing it? Are we just sort of, what level of engagement around it?
Well, in our press statement that we did at the time when the announcement was made about the donation, we said that we're not going to make this a central focus anymore. We just can't because we've done all we can do. But we continue to contact DOT to keep them knowing that we're interested in this. And when I talk about it, I say, yeah, we still want it to run again. It's important to our culture, our history, and our economy. But honestly, we can't do anything more. We've done all we can do. We're just hoping that DOT and Loudoun County really are working, and I think they are. From what I'm hearing, there is continuing work being done between our DOT and their DOT. And, I don't have any details because they won't share them understandably. But so I think I would still say we still want to see it run. It's a part of our culture, our history, helps our economy. But in terms of us doing anything more, we've done, you got 12 media events, what else can we do? We've written letters.
I'm just meaning like when I say at
Yeah.
Monday night when I'm at the
Yeah,
event,
still important.
Politicians just make sure it's just not
Yeah.
forgotten, basically.
yeah, that it still remains it's a priority. We just can't do anything on our own at this point. We've done all we can do.
Okay.
But there are indications that DOT is, and the county's not forgotten it, so that's important.
Great. Thanks.
So that's where we are on that at this stage. Poolesville Day, because this is the most important thing, honestly. And so let me start off with a video. A little background on why I think the video this year is more important than it's ever been. We always, for the last 5 years, we always started out with a video, just a 3-minute kind of a primer and where things are at this point, what our priorities are. To some degree, if we've had successes, celebrating those. This year, and you guys have certainly been reading about it, I'm sure, but I've been getting text about it too from the council members. The budget, because of the MCPS issue, but it's not just MCPS, it's also the revenue numbers in the budget are really low, honestly. They're not where they should be in terms of trying to fund a lot of new programs. So you can see fragmentation in the council now. There's clearly differences of opinion on MCPS in particular. In talking to a couple of council members, I'm not worried that we're going to lose anything, but I think we also have to understand that we got the community center in the budget, but it's not uncommon to see a capital project that hasn't started yet deferred. And I don't want to see that start, because if it happens once, it gets easier to do it in the future. And Damascus High School, again, was this year delayed again, which I just can't believe, because their school is as old as ours. And they really do need expansion because they've got growth up there. So I think this video is important to help us set the tone of thank you, but we also have these projects that we thank you for, but we don't want to see delayed. And I think another message too, because I mentioned to you when I was at the State of the County, and you heard this too, Derek, but the county executive only mentioned Poolesville. And my interpretation, maybe you've got a little different view on it, but I think he said that because he wanted to show that he does care about inequities. And by the way, this area of Poolesville is not just all rich people. That's sort of what he was saying. And I've heard that repeatedly from council members that, there's still a lot of people that feel that way. And a lot of people feel too that you guys have gotten a lot. So they didn't say hold off. They just said, you've gotten a lot. So it's going to be trickier this year for us to keep that pressure on without looking like gluttons, So that's why I think the video is important. And I think also the notion that we've been trying to convey, and I think it's real, and I think they're starting to get it, a lot of them, is that this area does have diversity, it does have real needs, and they have been ignored for a long time, and we're beginning to address them, but we're only at the beginning of it. We still got essentially 30 or 35 years of neglect to overcome, and it takes a long time. That's sort of what we're trying to do. So we did some interviews on Monday in Town Hall, and we had Katie, obviously did a great job from WUMCO. Also her ESOL coordinator, and she deals with a lot of the clients with respect to medical services and so forth under Melissa. Anna Bettinger was fantastic. She is Hispanic. So she talked a lot about how Hispanic people out here are finally beginning to feel like they're seen, which I love when she said that. They're seen, they're beginning to understand that people are wanting to connect with them and reach out and address their needs. That was really a powerful message. Sam Cooper did a great job. He came in and talked about, again, he grew up here, didn't have a really good experience when he was growing up, as a gay guy, but as now the town is becoming more inclusive, we're getting about First Pride Day, it was a really good message too. So all those messages about we're not just, a rich enclave, I think are important. We're going to continue that on the 18th of June. They're coming back. Jacobin is coming out again for Foundry, and we've got several people lined up to interview that day, including hopefully the principal of the high school. Not just saying how important the high school it was, but also he said repeatedly the community has been important to what the school's done, and it's a vital part of the school's success. And yeah, that message is important too. And then the basketball camp that Jim has is where we're going to have it set up. So there's a bunch of kids there that, teens that we're going to be able to talk to. Again, a good diverse crowd of folks, and have them talk about the community center, the need, why the school's been important. All those kind of messages will be part of it. Bob Sissel hopefully will be there too. He's going to be interviewed. So looks like a good lineup, and we should have a good series of people that we can use to make this video. It still would be helpful if you guys can look through your files and look at any pictures you've got or videos you've got of events or anything like that that has a council member or us with a council member. Those would be great to share, and I think Jacobin sent around a link for you to upload it too. So if you could do that too, it would be helpful. Anything else, Laura, I forgot on the video?
No, I think you covered a lot. Just sharing the photos, videos, any imagery, even emailing us if you think there's a point that we should include. That'd be helpful.
Okay.
If we're going to be talking about, will we be talking at Poolesville Day about the bubble for the pool? Will
Yes,
that be
that'd be part of it.
I wonder if would it make sense to try to get some footage at the pool now in the summer and interview some people there? Because that's to show what an important community builder it is, and all the kinds of people who are using the pool who would be able to use it.
Yeah. I don't know if we could do it that day or not, Laura, but it's not too far from the Baptist church, so.
Yeah, do they have swim practice? We're talking about the 18th, right? So
What day is that?
I guess we could actually take some footage ourselves and just have that, of people at the pool, maybe even a swim practice or something, and then maybe we could get a couple of the swimmers to come over and be interviewed or something. I don't know.
Yeah. There's practice every day.
Okay.
In the morning.
I don't know much about that. If you know folks in that would be great.
Both of our kids are doing it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. When Jacobin's coming out is in the morning, I forgot. Do you know what time she's coming out?
I think she's going to confirm the time with Jim, the best time.
Okay.
Because we're having other people, meet us at the gym too.
Yeah.
The other.
Well, that's what I'm hoping we can do with the swimmers, is maybe have them walk over there or something. So, all right, let me find out from Jim what he's thinking. But
And we could try, I don't have a good quality. I'm assuming my phone is not good enough quality for this or something, but we could try to just have somebody when the pool, on a weekend or something when the pool is active, just.
I think anything like that helps. So
I could try to do.
Yeah, that would be great, Nancy. And don't, we can do a lot of things to enhance quality on the back end too in post-production.
Okay.
Even if you wanted to get a quick little Q&A or man on the street, so to speak, with some of the swimmers or something, saying it would be so wonderful if we could swim year round, that we could train in our backyard here year round.
Okay.
Something like that.
And the distance issue, I mean, we raised it with Mark when we met with him last fall, and he kind of harumphed a little bit and said, well, not everybody has a indoor pool. And we said, yeah, but some people are 15 miles from the nearest
Right.
pool. And it's not just that, it's also families that can use it. And it's also older people who are now becoming more and more active with our seniors group. A lot of that swimming is used as a recovery mechanism for a lot of older people, and of course, a health mechanism, so.
Yeah, my daughter's lifeguarding there now, and she said that, like, right when the pool opens, there seems to be a bunch of older people, like, it's quiet, and the older people are all swimming and stuff, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll get the schedule from her and try to.
So distance, the practices, I know our team has to go all the time down county, a long way to get to practice, so. Those are good ideas, thanks. So that's only one piece of it. I don't know what the rest of the program is yet. We're still, honestly, one of the things that's happening, which is good, is that I've sent out 2 save the dates so far. And we've heard from, believe it or not, the governor's office that he didn't commit, but he knows about it. His staff person called Jim, and then Jim actually conversed with him for 15 minutes. He knew about Waste Ferry because Aruna has kept him informed. So he didn't commit, but he clearly is interested.
Right.
So I also got a call from also Brooke's office, which surprised me, and she also said, or her staffer also said, we're not committed yet, but it's on we got it on our calendar. As we get closer, we'll let you know. But if we get those kind of people, I mean, it's going to hijack which is okay, hijack our program a little bit, because you're obviously going to let the governor speak. And normally we let the D15 delegation tell us what they've accomplished and usually if the county executive is there, and I think he will be, obviously usually let him speak. So a lot of the program may be that way, which is okay, maybe them speaking. This year I wanted to do something at the beginning, though, a little different, and that is to really highlight all the people that are in the crowd that are from Poolesville. I'm not sure yet whether we have them all just say their names and who they represent, but maybe that's what we should do, because it's not going to be that many, 30 or so.
Just depends if Jim decides to do it for us.
I might let him do it. I might take that one from him. But I think that's important, too, is to do that. And then we also have our champion of the Western County Award. And I don't want to announce it ahead of time. We always do it, and so I'll send around a note about who I think it ought to be. But I think in some ways it may be obvious, since we both got the WUMCO funding this year and the community center funded. And honestly, that started with the county executive's budget, because both of them were in there. And then our delegate obviously helped, our council member obviously helped make it happen, so.
So Link, can I throw in a little the politics side of it? So it's sort of gearing up to run for county executive against Mark.
Right.
Folks like Andrew.
Right.
Gabe,
Bobby Evan.
Seems
Yep.
like everyone will. So not that it's not the right idea to do that, but just thinking about the lack of relationship between folks and Mark as well.
Oh, yeah, it's strong. You heard it.
Yeah, how that gets navigated.
Yeah,
I mean, because I think people would understand, but
yeah.
and it might be enough out that it's not.
Part of the way we might be able to do it to that point, I get your point, and it's right.
No, I agree, but I agree. Mark's
Yeah,
done it.
I
so
mean,
I'm just,
these things don't happen in the budget, because they can't add them in. I mean, they really can't. It's really hard to do that unless he submits an amendment, but he didn't. He put it in the beginning, so. But one way we could do it is through humor, because we could also say, I know you guys are waiting to get this award, and all of you could get it next year if you're, whatever role you're in, you could still be helpful, and we're looking forward to you being the next
that
candidate.
is a good way to. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, but you make a good point. I'm just kind of laying out where we are at this point. One other thing we might do if we have time is, because the Whites Ferry presentation, I think, has some really good information about our history and our culture here, not just about Whites Ferry. I think Ralph could do a 2-minute summation of it, too. That might be a useful add. I hadn't thought about anything else. One thing we did talk about was maybe having a business panel, just because of the economy issues that we've had, but haven't really thought that through yet. So, but we got the video. We always do a little overview ourselves, so I'll probably do something like we've done in the past of, those themes reinforced, especially I did this in the interview I did on Monday that, this video is about giving you thanks for the partnership and for listening and coming out and learning. But we should also recognize that it's been 30 years of neglect that we're trying to overcome, so we still have work to do too, and I want to emphasize that. And I'll do the same thing in that. So obviously we'll talk about the school and how welcome that has been, and the video shows some of that, but then cover our issues like the bubble and things like that. And if we have any of these other ideas that we think are useful, we can put that into.
One of the things that we might want to consider also are highlights from the economic summit that took place over at Crossfines.
Mm-hmm.
If there any key nuggets or takeaways that might need more traction,
Yeah.
that might be something to look at also.
Yeah. Well, one of those, Ed, is actually the notion of a study like the C&O Canal study that we've talked about. And we do have a framework for that. I've talked to Marilyn about it. I've talked to Dawn about it. Lily Chi convened a call that we had on it. So it's not that expensive. So yeah, I think that's one of the things we ought to highlight too, is that, how this economy works and how do we find better tools. Part of it's better data. So.
Right, because part of the thinking also is they should leave knowing that these are a couple of things that we're asking for, and we help position them so that they can deliver them for us. And of course, everyone's going to say, "Oh, yeah, that's something simple. We could do that," and we just capture them saying, "Hey, we can support that."
Right.
The thing about is because we don't want to just give information. We also want to, we get acknowledged what they've done to help. But we also want to make sure we get that commitment and that fair share. And so we can even give them low-hanging fruit, but we got to give them something that they can, where they can add value to us.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, actually on this pool, another point I'd forgotten, Nancy, I'm glad you raised it, was we've been trying to do some research on what it actually costs to do a removable bubble. And I've talked to the Quince Orchard people, they have one down there, but unfortunately it was, by the time I got through to them, they'd already taken off the bubble, and so they couldn't show us how it gets done. But Jim actually talked to the Mount St. Mary's College. They have the same thing, a bubble that gets removed in the summertime. And they've given us some numbers, how much it costs, which is a lot cheaper than I thought. It was like around $350,000 or $400,000 for the bubble. And it also is not as hard as at least according to Jim, it's not as hard to remove and to store. So one of the ideas that Jim had was, if we can convince the county to pay for it, is to offer that the town with its staff could actually help in the process of taking it down, and maybe even offer storage space as well. So those might be doable. And I've heard from many people they do want an enclosed pool so it's open, but they don't want a permanent structure because, you've been in those structures, and especially in the summertime, it's nice to be outside. So I think one of the things we can do a little more work on is try to get more numbers on that. So when we do our budget letter, we'll actually have a pretty good idea what it would cost, because Marilyn already asked me that, and she said, if it's millions, basically that's kind of a reach. But if it's not, if it's 500,000 and the town's willing to kick in.
I think the cost of labor would be almost potentially more significant.
Yeah.
Depending how many people have to staff a county pool, right?
Yeah.
Every time. And
No, you're right. You mean, because it's 9 months instead of 3 months.
Folks, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's the same thing with the community center.
Idea of how much it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. But the same thing with the community center. Once it gets up and running, we're going to have operating costs there too. So, and those are probably our next issues, is how do we get the program funding we need to make these things operational.
And people are paying to go too, right? I mean, it's nominal, but.
It's pools are always heavily subsidized.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's where we are in the breakfast. But again, if you can share any videos you got and upload them, or pictures, that would be great. And And beyond that, the only other thing to mention is on Poolesville Day, we also have a booth. So as we get closer, and it's right out here where the flags are, so it's right in the center of everything. And we didn't have a booth last year, obviously, because of the rain out, but this year we'll have one. So normally, we have like an hour and a half shifts for everybody, so. I've got pamphlets to hand out, I got fans to hand out, and those are always nice things, people always want those. And obviously, we're trying to get people to both sign up to get our information and become members of Fair Access Committee, but also, give them something and say, here's where our priorities are, and we'll be sending emails, and if you could, be ready to respond, that kind of thing. So, and ideas, they may have ideas too, things they want us to address.
Hey, Lane,
Yeah.
just another thought as I was listening to you. Is perhaps we could have a couple of students, and even some of the same students who spoke last time, but this time just coming back to say thank you for including it into the budget and how they're really looking forward to being able to do the things that they had said that it would be great to have a community center for anyway.
You're
so
talking about the breakfast, Ed?
Yeah, the breakfast.
Okay.
I'm going back to the breakfast.
Okay.
'Cause I was thinking about I was just thinking about what you said earlier about even though it could be in the budget, but we don't want it getting postponed.
Right.
And so part of that, keeping that kid touch piece, and how it's not just affecting kids in Poolesville, but it also affects, hundreds of kids who go to school at Poolesville. And if we could probably get Jacob and maybe one other kid to make a few remarks as well. But then we keep the time short, but is to show gratitude and continue to keep the request alive.
And always having kids is always good as speakers.
Yeah.
Wasn't one of them Meg Oberman's daughter?
Yeah, but I think she graduated.
Yeah.
She graduated this year. But Jacob, he'll be a senior this year.
Yeah, okay.
And he's their class treasurer.
Yeah.
He's the treasurer for the school. He won his election.
Oh, okay. All right, well, good, that's a good idea. And as always, since you brought it up, you can follow through. No. If you would, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll talk to Jacob.
That's a good idea. So,
Okay.
that's always a nice touch. I tell you, the kids we had last year, I can't tell you how many of the council members said, that was really great. So, dogs and teens, they're pretty good for politicians. We'll got to figure out a way to work a dog into this show. That'll help too. Okay, those are great ideas. Thanks, I appreciate it. Anything else for the good of the cause? I think those are the main things I wanted to cover. So.
I just have a practical question, Laura. If I was going to go over to the pool and just try to film a little bit or do one of these man on the street things or something, do we need to get permission or something from people to then use that footage?
I can send you a release form, for sure. For anyone, certainly that's a minor. We definitely want to make sure we get their permission.
So, just taking general footage of lots of kids swimming during swim practice or something we basically couldn't do.
We should be careful, right? We definitely don't want to show faces, or we would definitely need parental consent. But we have a form that we can send. So if it makes you too nervous, we can make sure that Jacobin gets over there. But good questions for sure.
Okay.
At the the clap-in, we did take videos of the students, but we did it without trying to focus on their faces, and most of the time when they were walking backwards and just big, so it wasn't like any one kid, so nobody seemed to object to that, so.
In some of those practices, those lanes are just
Right, you can't tell.
completely,
Right.
well, and they're completely crowded
Right.
too.
Yeah, that helps.
Completely
So that's
filled.
compelling, but also you can't see.
Okay. Anything else, Ed, from you on your side? Laura, is there anything you wanted to mention?
No, I think we're just gearing up for Poolesville Day, and yeah, if there's some kind of announcement on White's Ferry, we'll celebrate, right?
Yeah, it could be interesting if we did. Obviously, we should build an event around that, obviously, if there is one. But I'm not saying I know there is one. I know they are working, but whether that's going to result in any fruit at this point, who knows? So.
Nothing on mine. I'm good. Sorry, my camera's off today. I have to multitask.
No problem. Okay, anything else, Nancy or Derek?
When is the next meeting?
It's always the second Thursday, and what's that date? Is that after, hopefully after July 4th?
11th. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be July 11th, so that should be okay. Yeah. So July 11th is the next meeting, and then the most important one, honestly, is the August meeting, because that's right before the breakfast. Usually, I'm not here, not in town that week, but I did it by Zoom last year, so it'll be fine, but, yeah, that would be August 8th.
Okay.
So I probably won't be here, but that's okay. My granddaughter's going to be skating competition, and it's going to be at Lake Placid, which I've been to before, and it's beautiful up there, so, yeah. Yeah, that one, we pretty much got to make sure we have everything tied down pretty much as to what we want to do and stuff, so. I have reserved the room, but it was not easy this year. In the past, the school could do it. I just called the secretary, and this year she said ICB, which I guess is some county department that runs all this stuff. You got to file a form, and then it just took like 4 weeks to get it, but I did get it, so we do have it.
So Ed, I'm teasing a little bit, but so that's where the extra budget money's going.
Well, actually, that money goes to the county. It's the
I think it does.
county. Yeah, that's
No. I'm
county
just saying
council
that you
money.
have someone to make sure that you're filling out a form. That's where one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably true.
Yep.
But it's done, so we're good there. But usually on Poolesville, neither one of you have been through the practice, but the night before, which is the Friday, usually around 5:30 or so, we go in and we get everything set up. And then the morning of, people start coming at 7:45. We have a table out front behind the cafeteria there, the all-purpose room, where they come in. Laura runs that, and we have name tags all printed out for people who are attending. We usually, this year, I think we'll probably do a little more of that, but have a little time for schmoozing, so from 7:45 till 8:15. We try to end by 9:15, so they have time to take a few pictures, and then if they want to go to the parade, they just walk out the door and be in the parade, so that's how we usually do it. So usually on Saturday morning, I get there early just to make sure everything, and the computer's working, the electronics are working and all that, and all the decorations and stuff we put up haven't fallen down. So we also normally print up a few posters in the past that were just kind of sitting around, which are nice. Last year, we had one on the zip code study, for example, which was good, and we had one of the final plan for the school, which was, at that point, of course, was moving forward, so I don't know what we'll do this year, but you can think about that too. Is there something we should have on a board that would kind of be impactful? I don't know. So a message we want to send. So, I mean, one thing we did last year was list the main priorities on one of the boards too, so that wasn't bad. We took pictures with people next to that and had them sign it too. I'm behind this, so. So, anyway, think about that as well.
And could it be partly the thanks, so like
Could be that.
the opening of the school, a picture.
It'd be a picture of the school or the clap in.
Yeah, exactly,
and
like.
Thanks for this or something, sure, yeah.
Because some of them came, right, for
Yeah.
the opening, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? We have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you both, Ed and Lauren. Thanks, Niles, for setting it up. Appreciate it.
All right, you all take care. I'll
right,
see you
see
next
ya.
time.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
That was a good idea about the swimming pool. It'd be great if we can get some stuff on that.
I will see what I can.
See, we're turning you into a journalist now, too. This is pretty amazing.